Hey guys, I am Yubel Mastery, and welcome to my July TCG ban list prediction. I believe that the next list should be in July. It has the three set months, and it'll be after Nationals. So I said July. Like I said, they haven't put a definite date, but July. So of course, I always do my ban list predictions early because generally the month before is the time when everybody starts looking up, people's ban list predictions and want to know what they think. So I like to get mine up early so I can slurp up all the views from early ban list predictions going up. So as you can clearly see by the title, this says part 1, and I know you're probably thinking like, oh, you're splitting up into 2 parts, because by the time you see this video, it's probably going to be really long, because I'm a really long-winded talker, and I like to go into detail, and I don't know when to shut the hell up. But no, the reason why I split up into 2 parts is because I don't have all the information to make the most accurate ban list prediction. Because I believe, just like what they did in April for TCG, we're literally just going to take things right off and just pretty much copy them. Just like for OCG's ban list, they hit the Dragon Lords, they banned them. I can easily see us just doing the same exact thing and copying them. So before I get to part 2, I need to go ahead and see what OCG does for their ban list, and then try to set precedents and decide accordingly. So to begin, there's going to be a lot of set precedents. If you want to play a drinking game, let's play a drinking game, guys. For every single time I say set precedents, take a drink, alright? You'll probably be dead by the end of this video from alcohol poisoning, because that's actually one of the key things that helps me determine my prediction. I try to stay unbiased as possible. Set precedents is a very key factor, and just basic knowledge of profit margin and stuff like that. So I'm going to go ahead and try to predict as best as possible. I also must warn you guys, before you guys get into it, if you haven't been on one of my ban list predictions, I am very, very conservative when it comes to lists. I am not liberal at all. So when it comes to putting down cards, yeah, I'll be like, hit that, hit that, hit that, hit that, hit that. But then when it comes to putting up cards or, doing stuff like that, no, So I could probably get some of the hits right, but then, the cards that they end up moving up, I probably will get it wrong. Most of the time I'm only going to move cards up if we have set precedents, or because most of the time when I try to predict a card that's going to move up, it ends up not moving. So there's some cards that can they move up, yes, but will they? I have no idea. So when it comes to moving up, I'll probably just go off of set precedents. So I think that's all I had to do to introduce my ban list prediction here. So that, like I said, this is part 1. I will come back as soon as we get the OCG list for, July or whenever it may be. I will go ahead and do another video, and that will either change or make corrections, and then that part 2, that list, will be as close as I can predict to the TCG list that, like I said, should hopefully be in July. So with that out of the way, sit back, relax, listen to my soothing voice. My voice isn't that soothing, and we will jump right into it. So, like I said, I don't know, of course, recording right now, I don't know how long this video is going to be, but I predict it's going to be long, because I got a lot of cards to talk about, a lot of things to talk about, and I haven't even started yet, and I'm already, 3 minutes into this video, and I haven't even started talking? Awesome. So, if you guys want to go ahead and just, open something else up and watch something else while you're just listening to me, like I said, on screen, I'm just going to put up the cards, so you're not going to be missing anything on screen. So, you don't have to worry about that. So just listen. Just listen. More like a podcast than a video. So, let's just hop right into it, alright, people? So, for banned, I only have 2 cards. I have 2 cards banned, and one of them is probably predictable, and the other one not so much. So, we'll just go ahead and start off with the predictable one. Probably the card that's on everybody's list for being banned. Obviously, Djinn release fair rituals. This card is just unhealthy for the game, When you have the most powerful deck, of course, being Nekroz, and then you give them a card which pretty much locks only your opponent out of special summoning just because you banished it for your tribute of your ritual monster, that's when it gets a little bit dumb. And when you sit down and think about it, and generally when you want to hit a deck, you can lower the consistency of some cards, but really you only need one releaser. Some people are saying hit level chain, but that's not the correct choice either, because you can still just naturally draw it. Just hitting releaser, just banning releaser, we really don't need releasing the game, and the mechanic of ritual summon doesn't need this card, Necros are fine without it. They do not need releaser, and You know, all the other Djinns are perfectly fine. They give, you know, a nice little advantage to ritual summons, which is not, you know, one of the greatest mechanics. But when you completely lock just your opponent out of special summoning, that's when the card gets a little bit unhealthy. And, you know, clearly with Vanities being hit last time, which, you know, at least with Vanities, a card that everybody can run, and it's a double edged sword where, you know, you can't special summon, but I can't special summon either. Releaser is literally just your opponent. So if your opponent doesn't have a way to get that monster off the field, they're gonna lose, and obviously that's just not healthy for the game. You know, Nekros will be totally fine without it, and just the ritual mechanic will be fine without it. You know, it's not like the other Djinns are bad, just not Releaser. So yeah, I have Releaser banned. All right, and the next card I have banned, and before you guys lose your head, because I know a lot of you are gonna be like, what the fuck, Daniel? Next card I have banned is Shaddoll Construct. Whoa, 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 whoa. I know. Calm down. So, of course, get your shots ready. Set precedents from the OCG. They have banned Construct, of course. And one of the easiest ways to go ahead and predict how we're going to hit, you know, decks that we haven't hit here in the TCG is just copy off of what they do, set precedents. So, of course, you guys know, if this upcoming list is in July, this will be the World's list. So that's when our lists combine. It just doesn't seem natural to go ahead and do hits that the OCG doesn't have here in the TCG. So when you combine the lists, they're just hit, you know, completely. You know, I've seen a ton of people say, you know, like hit, you know, just regular Shaddoll Fusion. You know, but then if we hit regular Shaddoll Fusion, which I'm assuming you're going to say and hit it to 1, then when the list combines for Worlds, that would mean that they would have Shaddoll Fusion at 1, Shaddoll Fusion at 1. And Construct ban. Like, see, there's just so many things that when you combine the list, the deck would just be pretty much dead. So it might just be easier just to go ahead and copy off of what they do. So when the list combined, it simply wouldn't be any more additional hits. So I actually sat down and thought about it, and I was like, wow, they banned Construct, you know. And I was like, wow, don't you think that's a little bit extreme? But if you remember from the previous list in January, they actually put Construct to 1 along with Winda. And then this recent list, they put Winda back up to 3 and banned Construct. And when you really sit down and you think about it, you're like, why Construct? Because Construct is the strongest Shaddoll monster in the deck. Think about it. The reason why they hit Shaddoll Construct is so they could avoid hitting Shaddoll Fusion. Now, when you really look at Shaddoll Fusion, and Shaddoll Fusion. Shaddoll Fusion is arguably the strongest card because not only can you play it during the battle phase and get additional damage, but you can also play it during your opponent's turn because, of course, it's a quick play spell. Very powerful card. But what makes Shaddoll Fusion arguably better than Shaddoll Fusion? The fact that you can fuse from your deck using materials from your deck because your opponent has an extra deck monster, correct? But think about it. If your opponent has an extra deck monster already on the field, if you don't have Construct, really, what can you fuse into that can really handle the situation as constructively as Construct? So, instead of just going like, wow, well, every single time your opponent has an extra deck monster, all you do is just activate Shaddoll Fusion and then fuse from your deck and summon Construct and then just attack and capture, destroy the monster, you know? Instead of doing that, instead of hitting the Shaddoll Fusion, which would completely just kill the Shaddoll deck, because remember, they, in their minds, they see Shaddoll Fusion a stronger card than regular Shaddoll Fusion. So let's just assume that, you know, let's not hit Construct, let's hit Shaddoll Fusion. And like I said, just like when we combine the list, that would mean that Shaddoll Fusion and Shaddoll Fusion will both be at 1. And as you've seen with Shaddoll, if they don't have their fusion cards, they're not nothing, and Shaddoll Fusion isn't that good either. So instead of hitting Shaddoll Fusion, which they were planning on hitting clearly in OCG, hitting Shaddoll Fusion, instead of hitting Shaddoll Fusion as well, they decided to go ahead and hit Construct and lower the consistency of you summoning Construct from your deck. But then I guess they thought even 1 is too much, because literally all you need is 1 to be able to go ahead and continue your play. So I guess they went to the extreme of banning Construct, which, and when you really think about it, it's fine, you know. Shaddolls, you can play without Construct. You know, you got some powerful other Shaddoll fusions. You know, you got Shikinaga, you got, you know, Winda, you got Gristo. So, if you want to go ahead and, you know, try other Shaddoll fusions, that's fine. It seems like they're like, fusing from your deck is fine, but always going to Construct is not fine. That's what it definitely seems like OCD decided. And you know what, I personally think that's a totally fine decision. I think that it's justified, and I'm in agreement. If we ban Construct, then Shaddolls might actually do something else, you know? So I want to go ahead and see what Shaddolls will do if Construct is banned. And you know, if it's too extreme, and like I said, I have no precedence. If it's too extreme, then maybe possibly in part 2, maybe OCG will go ahead and construct back to 1. But like I said, they tried it at 1. And I don't keep track of the OCG as much as I keep track of the TCG, but they tried it at 1, and clearly it must have been even too much at 1, so they decided to go ahead and ban it. So there we go. So those are my 2 banned cards. So we are going to be moving on to cards at 1. So far at the top decks we hit Shaddolls. That's not my first hit to Shaddolls, but it's probably one of the major ones. Next we have cards limited to 1. So starting out, we have Nekroz of Brionac. That's obvious. That is obvious. That not only is that set precedence from OCG, but it's a card already on the list. Generally, Konami likes to hit cards that are already on the list. So naturally, dropping Brionac down to 1 to lower the consistency of Nekroz seems like the correct choice. Now, I have a couple of hits to Nekroz, but I'm definitely going to have to come back to Nekroz in part 2. Because despite the many hits that Nekroz got in the OCG, which I will be doing set precedents on for the TCG, apparently the deck is still too powerful. It's still one of the top decks in the OCG, so I need to see if this upcoming list, if they hit it further, and if we also follow suit. So, of course, the first thing that we can go ahead and do when you're just looking at the OCG is go ahead and hit Nekroz of Brionac to 1, lower the consistency of summoning that, well, not summoning, just searching, just lower the consistency of the deck in search when it comes to searching, because that's arguably the thing that makes the deck powerful. It's just the high consistency, being able to pretty much make their own hand is just one of the many things that makes Nekroz powerful. So by lowering Brionac down to 1, we can just go ahead and lower its consistency just a little bit more. So next card at 1, I have Nekroz of Unicore. So just like the LCG, once again another set precedence. It seems like they wanted to go ahead, not only is Unicore a powerful card, being able to just be like, hey, I'm summoned and all the face-up effects of monsters from fetched by the extra deck are negated. But also, of course, you know, it's a level 4, so they go off with the Herald of Creation. So it just seems like they just wanted, instead of hitting a mirror being Kaleido, instead of hitting Kaleido, they decided to go ahead and hit Unicore down to 1. So if you want to run multiple Kaleidos, then, you know, more power to you, but you're only gonna have 1 Unicore off of Kaleido for your Herald play. So that's what it seems like they did in Decision. I think that's actually fine. You know, I think that instead of hitting the mirrors too much and just killing the deck, because obviously you need to ritual summon with your mirrors, they decided to go after the Unicore because it seemed like the Kaleido to the Herald to the Unicore play was the most predominant. So that's a fine choice indeed. So I can totally see Unicore going down to 1. Alright, next card at 1, and I just said about hitting the mirrors and stuff, Nekroz Cycle. Nekroz Cycle, this is also set precedence from the OCG, because obviously it's kind of like a monster reborn for your Nekroz monsters. Just being able to go ahead and summon your ritual monster from the graveyard has been pretty much unheard of when it comes to this, and just being able to go ahead and distribute your Nekroz monster and summon it from your graveyard just seems like a little bit too much. So OCG hit it down to 1, and I can clearly see and understand why you would go ahead and hit it to 1 and TCG as well. So I think for now that's all my Nekroz hits. Oh no, I also have Manju too, but I'll get to that. So like I said, I'm gonna have to come back to that because these are the hits that are actually in the OCG right now off the set precedent, and that's not enough. That's clearly not enough because Nekroz is still good. I could possibly see one possible hit. They may go after the Manju and Manju again. I can see that because on the previous list in January they had Manju and Manju both at 1, but then they hit Unicore down to 1, and they're like, alright, Manju at 2, and then Manju went back up to 3. I could see them hitting Manju and Manju again, which would kind of suck because that would just hurt, you know, just generic ritual decks, you know. But if that's what they had to do, if that's what they had to do is to hit the deck's consistency, is to hit Manju and Manju, more power to them, I guess. And then another card I can possibly see them hitting is Sharit, you know, just being able to use that as your full tribute for your warriors who generally you are summoned, and then you get to go ahead and search. It's just a very powerful card, and it's searchable through Rhoda, which of course here in TCG is at triple. So I seriously doubt they're gonna hit Rhoda down, you know, especially with Ignites coming up. But I can see them hitting just, you know, warrior monsters that Rhoda does search to lower the consistency as well. So Consistency is the key in Necros, so if you hit the consistency, it wouldn't kill the deck. It would just make it less consistent and slow it down, and maybe bring it down to the par of the rest of the decks. So, like I said, I had to wait until part 2, see after what the OCG did, but, you know, if they possibly go ahead and hit more Manju, more Sanju, or more Shi En just to lower the consistency, then that's the correct choice. So, for now, those are all my Necros hits. I will get to the Manju in a second. Well, when I get to limited cards. I mean, semi-limited cards. But for now, we're just going to continue on with limited cards. So, continuing on, I have Mind Crush. Mind Crush should be at 1. Mind Crush will always be a good card, and it was really ridiculous in this format. Like, you know, earlier in this format, it was arguably the most powerful card in the game. You know, one of the best things that makes decks the best is the consistency. Everybody searches, and if you didn't have a consistent deck, then you wouldn't be very good. You know, it's the fact that you have the consistency, you have the keys to create your hand correctly, is what makes decks powerful. So when you can simply just run a powerful card like Mind Crush, which is the complete antithesis, but not the correct antithesis, like Mistake, where, you know, not only is it is a continuous trap card that you can space in response to and neither player can search. Mind Crush, on the other hand, as soon as you add a card to your hand, your opponent not only gets to go ahead and pick that card out of your hand, but then also get to see your hand instead of card at 1. It's just a very powerful card. It has a precedence of being at 1 on the list, and I guess, like usual, when cards fall out of popularity, Konami generally decides to just move them up. But Mind Crush will always be powerful as long as the top deck search, as long as searching is predominant in Yu-Gi-Oh, then Mind Crush will always be good. So Mind Crush has just become an unhealthy card, and like usual, it just takes a format or two just to recognize. I mean, Vanity sat at 3 for how long? But then eventually it became popular enough they weren't being hit, and I believe Mind Crush is in the exact same boat where, yes, it has been at 1, and it should have stayed there, but decided to move it up to 2 and then to 3, and then now look at it. So definitely Mind Crush should go back down to 1. Alright, so next card at 1, I have Star Seraph Sovereignty. Yes, the Star Seraph engine. And just like OCG set precedents, when they hit the Star Seraph engine, they hit Sovereignty down to 1, which also, once again, I think is the correct decision. I've seen a ton of people's bandless predictions and always saying like, oh, hit Scepter, or oh, hit you know, both of them. You know, you only need to hit Sovereignty to go ahead and kill the engine. You know, Sovereignty is at 1. Tell me, are you gonna run, you know, triple Scepter and 1 Sovereignty? No, I didn't think so. That's not the engine. You know, that sounds terribly inconsistent. It doesn't sound like you really pull off anything. But would it be okay for you to do it in the Star Seraph deck? Yes, because Scepter can search other Star Seraphs, and, you know, your 1 Sovereignty, and while it may hurt and it's a casualty for the Star Seraph deck, it's a justified hit, and you can still do a Star Seraph deck with 1 Sovereignty, but if you hit Scepter to 1, then the Star Seraphs are pretty much done, because they kind of need that search. So I believe that hitting down just a chair down to 1 is the correct decision. Go ahead and kill the engine. They made their money off of it. You know, it was cute for like 1 format, but let's just go ahead and move on. You know, we had it. It was ridiculous. It plussed out the ass, and now we can move on. Alright, so I have Sovereignty to 1. Alright, next card I have to 1. Shaddoll Fusion, just like set precedents. Like I said, if we go ahead and ban Construct, Shaddoll Fusion is still a very powerful card. Like I said, being able to activate it during your battle phase for additional damage, being able to play it during your opponent's turn, it's just a very powerful card, and clearly OCG saw the power in this card, and if they want to go ahead and put it down to 1, I think that the set precedence of it is totally fine, it's totally justified. So like I said, with banning Construct, we can go ahead and leave Shaddoll Fusion at 3, which in that case, if you can't fuse your Construct, Shaddoll Fusion really isn't as powerful. You know, sure you can go, if I'm an extract monster, sure you can go ahead and fuse from your deck, but you know, you're gonna have to be using something that's not Construct, which you may or may not have the answer to, depending on which fusions that you have left. You know, whether that be Crystal or Shikinaga or Window, they may not be able to handle the situation like Construct can handle. But, you know, just set precedence off of Shaddoll Fusion. Like I said, we're going to go ahead and keep Shaddoll Fusion at 3, Shaddoll Fusion at 1, just like OCG, and follow suit for Worlds. You know, they still have 3 Shaddoll Fusion, and I think that just those 2 cards, just Construct banning Shaddoll Fusion. And we still don't have the hit of Sinister Shadow Games, but I think that Sinister Shadow Games is a fine card for now. When it comes to Shadolls, it's not, you know, it's not definitely not the problem card in Shadolls. It just extends their plays a little bit, but it's never been to the extreme of Hornet, and I wouldn't be surprised if they decide to move it. Like I said, I'm not sure what the love-hate relationship when it comes to TCG. When it comes to Shaddoll, that seems like OCG hates Shaddoll just a little bit more, so yeah, so Shaddoll Fusion down to 1. Alright, next card at 1, I have Qliphort Scout. Yeah, Qli's, despite getting a major hit in the April list, they are clearly still really, really good and still really consistent. Like, really all they need is Scout, and then they're going to town. So let's go ahead and just lower down the consistency of Scout. We already have set precedence. It's already on the list. Generally, like I said, generally Konami likes to hit cards that are and move cards that are already listed instead of putting new cards on. But really, in Qli's, really, who can you point the finger at? You know, a ton of people are pointing fingers at, lose 1 turn, but obviously that card is way too new to be hitting. It's supposed to be the balanced version of Skill Drain, and Qli's were doing really well before lose 1 turn. So, who can you point fingers at? It's obviously Scout, and the high consistency that you get to Scout, because now you still have 2 Scouts, you have your 1 sacrifice, but then you have your your multiple pots of duality and your Summoner's Arts, of course. So instead of hitting Summoner's Arch, which of course would be the incorrect decision because they want to promote Ignites, just hit Scout. If we hit Scout down to 1, I mean, who's really going to run triple Summoner's Arch? That's going to be dead like hell. So and then you have your 1 Scout, and if you lose it, so I don't think Qli's would die from Scout going down to 1, but it would definitely be the correct hit, and a hit that would hurt. You would probably have to start running cards like Climate Change, just so you can go activate Scout, hope that your opponent doesn't have an ST, and then Scout search for Climate Change just in case. But Scout, it's just been Scout. Scout, despite being at 2, has just been the core key card in the deck. And it's the only card that you can really look at when it comes to the consistency and the plays of Qli's. You gotta hit Scout. So, Scout going down to 1. Alright, next card I have at 1 is Mathematician. Mathematician is not only set precedence from OCG, but it's a hit for Shaddolls and for Burning Abyss. It's an indirect hit. I always thought that Mathematician and kind of Curry Bandit were both hand in hand, very, very powerful cards that should probably be at 1. But, it never happened. But in the OCG and past list, they actually hit Mathematician and Curry Bandit down to 1. Curry Bandit is not as powerful as Mathematician. Curry Bandit, you excavate, it's luck based. While you do get a spell or trap to your hand, you get to your hand during the end phase, which means that you can activate it till your next turn. So it's kind of like the errata version of D-Mock. And, you may... what you excavate is random. Mathematician, on the other hand, I always say sending is more powerful than knowing. In this case, excavating, because you know exactly what you're going to send. Mathematician sends you that level 4 lower monster from your back, and when you really think about it, it is a foolish for level 4s or lowers that on legs. It's a nice 1500 meter, it's nothing to scoff at. Once you destroy a battle, you get to draw a card, so you get to even out of your play that you're supposed to be negating on when your monster is destroyed. And you get to send any level 4 or lower from your deck to the graveyard. It's a very powerful card, and I understand why OCG went ahead and hit it down to 1. And I wouldn't be surprised if we go ahead and follow suit with hitting Mathematician down to 1. Because is it worthy of it? Most definitely. Most definitely. Mathematician with Shaddoll's, Burning Abyss, the Felice plays, Blow Up Ball. It's just been a handful of things that Mathematician has done since its release in Dragon's Legend, and it was arguably one of the most powerful cards in the Dragon's Legend set, along with Soul Charge and Curry Bandit. So, like I said, Curry Bandit here in the TCG isn't as bad, so I can easily see Konami TCG just skipping over that card, but Mathematician is clearly, it's there, so I wouldn't be surprised to hit that card down to 1. And my last card that I have to 1 is my one of my Stellarknight hits. I have the Stellarknight Triverr. Yes, I think that Triverr is the one that's the problem. I've seen a ton of people saying like, oh yeah, Nova is the problem. If we hit Nova, then Stellarknights will be fine. No, they won't. No, Stellarknights are still going to be very powerful. And, I play Stellarknights, and there's a handful of duels where I win, and I never even get a Nova. And one of the reasons why is because I have multiple Call of Haunts, multiple Oases, multiple Fiendish Chains, and I just keep on recycling them with the power of Triverr, allowing me to get pluses and out-resource you. So, by putting Triv down to 1, you only get 1 Triv. If you want to go ahead and recycle it, more power to you. but definitely Triv should be at 1. It shouldn't be at multiples. You shouldn't be able to go, triple Triv in your extra deck. Even 2 Trivs is too much. Just the power to go ahead and, giant Trunade, essentially giant Trunade, to spin everything back to the hand. It's just a very powerful effect, but in that giant Trunade aspect, putting, your used continuous traps back to your hand, it's just very powerful. And I believe by hitting Triv, it would change Stellarknights, because they wouldn't be reliant on them, it's called Hunted and Oasis as much, because you only have 1 Triv. You can do it once, but, unless you have some way of recycling the Triv, which of course, we have, like, Pot of Avarice gone, I guess you could run Jar of Avarice, which of course would, promote more Jar of Avarices in the new set. You don't have 1 Triv, so you have to, like, emerald it back, or, do, on unorthodox plays to slow down the plays of Stellarknight. So this is actually my first thing to Stellarknight. Like I said, I don't think Nova, especially wasn't thinking Nova, because we really don't have any set precedents when it comes to hitting counter trap cards. Like, the only counter trap card we have hit is Barrier, but the reason why Barrier is hit is because it was searchable. So, if we hit Nova, then what? Then what are you Senjus are doing pretty well. Are we gonna have to hit Secret Move? What about this effort counter trap? It's just like, what? Does every archetype to get a counter trap, you gotta hit it? Because when you really look at it, Nova, it's actually a balanced card. You activate something, I play my counter trap card, I tribute my Stellarknight monster, stop your card, and draw a card. So not only do I use 2 cards, but then draw 1 card, which is 1 neg 1. But then you lose a card as well, so we actually, even out. So essentially, it's a balanced card. So I personally have no complaints about it. If they want to hit Nova down to 1, and that's what they choose for TCG for Konami, then I guess. But in my opinion, it's not the correct decision when it comes to hitting Stellarknights. Stellarknights will still be very powerful even with 1 Nova. So, all right. So those are all my cards at 1. So I guess we will go ahead and move on to semi-limited. So semi-limited, starting off, I have Manju. I already talked about that, copying off of, or set precedents off of the LCG. They went ahead and put Manju down to 2, and when you really look at it, when it comes to Manju is the strongest. Necros really don't normal summon that often, but when they do, it's probably going to be a Manju or a Senju or something along those lines to go ahead and plus. So by hitting the consistency, once again, I think hitting the consistency is the correct decision. Like I said, I will come back to this in part 2, but I can easily see Manju going back down to 1 in the LCG and then us following suit. I'm not so sure about Senju, because Senju's kind of always caught me off guard, especially if, with 1 Brionac, because Senju searches the monster, right? So you generally go Senju and you search for the other Necros to go ahead and get your correct card. Just like, are you gonna go to the extreme of hitting Sonic Bird? But Manju can search either or, and it's the most powerful of them all. So, like I said, the first thing you gotta do the major thing you gotta do when hitting Necros is hit the consistency. And bring them down to our level. They're the best deck because they're the most consistent deck. So if you go ahead and bring down the consistency, you bring them down to our par. So Manju down to 2, I think, would be fine, but I'm not sure. Like I said, I will have to come back to Necros in part 2, definitely. Alright, next card at 2, I have Monster Gate. That's not only is that copying off of the OCG, but they went 2, then they went 3, but of course they want to promote Inferno. Like I said, I'm not sure. They may just go 1 to 3. I'm not sure about that, so that's why I'm saying 2. If they do go 3, then not surprised, but I think 1, 2, 3 will be the correct way to go, and just like what they did with OCG. So I could possibly see this card going to 2 on the next list. I didn't go to 2 this list, which I thought it would, but no. This upcoming list, it should go to 2. Alright, and then my last card at 2, I even when I was looking at it, like, man, I do not have a lot of semi-limited cards, but semi-limited is probably the shortest of all the lists. Semi-limited, I have going to 2. I have Deneb. Deneb is my second hit to Stellarknights to lower the consistency of getting Deneb. Deneb is one of the key cards in Stellarknights, and obviously the searching, the Altairs are searching. I wanted to say Altair, now of course everybody wants to say Altair, but I really can't say Altair off of just precedence of them kind of being more lenient when it comes to these 1-card exceed cards. They have Wolfbark at 3, they're bringing Note in here, so it doesn't seem like Konami really cares too much about these, these 1-card rank 4 exceed monsters, so it really doesn't seem like they would go after Altair. But Deneb, on the other hand, Deneb is just like Qliphort Scout, where you're lowering the consistency of the key card in the deck. And by lowering the consistency of the key card in the deck, not only does it lower the consistency of the deck as a whole, but it also gives you precedence for the next hit. So just like how Scout is at 2 right now, we can just be like, alright, we'll go ahead and hit down to 1 instead of moving more cards on the list, which of course this would be Tellarknight's first hit, you know, and not touching Rhoda, because like I said, Ignite. Then next list, you know, if Tellarknight still do too much, we can go ahead and be like, alright, now Deneb down to 1, you know, and while you only really need that at 1, I mean, look how reliant they are on Deneb. They even run triple Nuclei just for Deneb, you know, just to send that Deneb. So I think by lowering the consistency of Deneb down to 2, which should kind of reinforce the Nuclei, which I guess would make it a little bit more popular. It's not like they're making money off of sets when it comes to Deneb. That's just you know, second party market, but definitely what they're making money off in the future is that Astro Pack 7 with them Hollow Altaires, which is why they're probably going to have Altair and Hollow Unuclei, which of course will send Deneb, which at that point, if Deneb goes down to 2, you'll probably run triple Unuclei, and when, you know, with your 1 Triverr, it's just lowering the consistency of the deck overall. So I think as a first hit, I think Triverr to 1 and Deneb to 2 is the correct hit for Tellarknights personally. Like I said, I don't have any precedence, and Tellarknights are probably one of the hardest decks to hit, just because there is no precedence to look at. There is no like, oh, well, what did OCG do? Oh, they did nothing. You know, I mean, they have Rhoda at 1, but like I said, TCG is probably going to keep Rhoda at 3. I don't think they're going to go to the extreme of putting Deneb at 1. I think they're going to start at 2 and then move it down to 1 as a first hit. So, yep, those are my 2 Tellarknight hits. And that's also all my semi-limited cards, so not a lot. Alright, and for unlimited, lots of set precedents, lots of liberalness, but at least we can go ahead and go through these knowing that, you know, OCG did it, and it seems like definitely that Konami TCG is looking at OCG, so they may just go ahead and do it just because OCG did it. So, starting off, I have Temple of the Kings going to 3. You can only use the effect of Temple of the Kings once per turn, so even if you have multiple Temple of the Kings, you can still only activate 1 set trap card. It wasn't very popular here, despite, you know, getting to Rada and being a ban, just because that changes to 1 set trap card, and I can easily see this card moving up to 3, just like in the OCG. Next, I have Exchange of Spirit. You can only activate 1 Exchange of Spirit per duel. OCG moved it to 3, so I can easily see them moving Exchange of Spirit up to 3 as well. Next card, Sinister Serpent with the Rada. You know, Sinister Serpent really hasn't done anything in this format, and it's not even, you know, one of the water targets that Shaddoll would even select to make Anoia Talilis or whatever her name is. But you know, you kind of need multiple Sinister Serpents, so moving it up to 3 will at least help with the use of Sinister Serpent. So I can easily see them doing that. Also set precedence. Next card going up to 3, I have Sacred Sword of 7 Stars. We moved it up to 2 this list. Clearly did nothing, so they'll probably just go ahead and move it up to 3, and it might even help and support the Red Eyes support that I believe is what, Clash of Rebellion, I think. So they may go ahead and do that and be like, hey, well, look at Red Eyes. You know, they're just like, hey, if the Dragon Lures are banned, we don't have to worry about any really level 7 monsters. So yeah. Next card I have going up to 3, I have Charger Light Brigade. I personally don't like this because I don't like Light One getting any stronger, but clearly they wanted to go ahead and put Charger Light Brigade up at 2, see if light points would do anything. It was just a test, and they did nothing, not even 1 top. So they'll probably just go ahead and move this up to 3 just to move, get it off the list. But they'll probably not going to move Honest, which of course if Charge and Honest went up to 3, Light Ones would be back at full power. So they're not going to move Honest just because they naturally know that Honest is powerful in any light hand. So you know, they didn't absolutely kill Tellarknight, so they'll probably just go ahead and keep Honest at 2. Next card I have going up to 3, I have Inzekor Hornet. That's once again copying off of OCG. OCG, this list, moved Hornet up to 3. Dragonfly still at 1, of course, but Hornet up to 3. And just like what they did with Bastari, I think this is going to be like their big unhit to a particular deck. So Hornet moving up to 3. And then the last card I have moving up to 3 is Legendary 6 Samurai Shi En. Clearly, they wanted to go ahead and test the waters as Shi En being at 2. It was fine. No 6 Samurais did anything, so they're probably going to go ahead and move it up to 3. And as long as Gateway's banned, no one's really banned Eyelash. So let's go ahead and talk about some cards. Before I end this video, let me go ahead and talk about some cards that I probably should talk about when it comes to my ban list prediction that people want me to talk about. So, starting it off, I'm going to go ahead and talk about Mistake. Some people are saying, hit Mistake. Personally, I think Mistake is a balanced card. I think Konami thinks it's a balanced card as well, since of course they're making a card that's kind of like a quick play spell one-turn Mistake, so it's like the trap stun version of Mistake. So I clearly think Mistake is a fine card. I think it's a balanced card. I think it's fine at 3, especially since we're going to go ahead and hit Mind Crush, which everybody can play, while Mistake, if it's in a consistent deck's hand, they're not going to play it, so it's kind of like more of an anti-meta card, though Mind Crush is like a card that everybody can play, just like Vanities. So, Mind Crush, yes. Mistake, no. Next, Dragon Ravine, I have no precedence on that for right now, so I don't want to say that card. Just on the fact that I don't want to be incorrect, I'll try not to be. I just don't have any evidence. Despite the Dragon Rivers being banned in OCG and them having Dragon Ravine at 1 in the OCG, they didn't move it. So, might have to come back to that card in part 2 when I look at the OCG's list and then they move Dragon Ravine, then I will go ahead in part 2 say it. But for right now, I cannot say Dragon Ravine will be moved here. This play, can it go up to 3? Yeah, but will it? I don't know. So I can't say anything about that. For my nigga Shaddoll, at this point, Shaddoll isn't going to get unbanned, so there's really no point in saying him. It's just a waste of breath, so let's just go ahead and forget about him, alright, people? And, yeah, I think that's really it for all I can think of for right now. So, of course, this video is super fucking long, but hey, that's how I am. Long-winded when it comes to balance predictions. So, if you guys have anything that you want to say to me, I will be sure to reply in the comment section below. So be sure to comment and tell me what you guys think about, give your opinion about my list. Like I said, I will be back for part 2. I definitely will, because like I said, I don't think Nekroz got hit hard enough, and maybe there'll be some more cards that we will possibly see being moved when it comes to the TCG for set precedence for here. So anyway, I hope that you guys enjoyed my part 1 ban list prediction. So thanks for listening, thanks for all the support, and I will see you guys in part 2. Alright people, thanks for watching.